Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We want to thank everyone for attending tonight, and we want to thank Mr. Trump for making the perilous journey here in this icy weather, and thank all of you. Mr. Trump will be taking questions tonight, and it is with my great pleasure to welcome the next President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, everybody. This is great. This is great. Amazing people. No matter where we go, it's the response has been so incredible. And this was a tough one tonight. Those roads were wet and icy. Hi, Steve. They were icy and miserable, but boy, is this beautiful country, huh? This is beautiful. This is beautiful. We did a couple of big slides coming up here. It was a beautiful trip. Beautiful trip. I think we'll go a little bit slower going back, but it's fantastic. Thank you all very much. And you know, we're going to do a little different tonight. We're going to take some questions because a lot of people have questions, and it's been an amazing period of time. We're leading in every single poll, both national and state. Some big ones are coming up, and I have great confidence that we're going to do very well in the ones that are coming up. But we're doing great. And in New Hampshire, we're really doing well. We are really, really doing well. And Iowa, we're leading, and in South Carolina, we're leading big, really big, and all over. So it's been amazing. And the spirit that I see when I go around, we go to Dallas and we go to Oklahoma. We had 20,000 and 20,000 people both. And we, no matter where we go, Mobile, Alabama, we had 35,000 people. It's been incredible, and I love coming here. This is such an important place, and I promise you one thing, that if I win, and I hope I'm going to win, one of the small things we're doing is we're keeping New Hampshire and Iowa in that very important two positions. We're not changing. Because I was hearing a lot of talk that they're going to move you and Iowa back. They're not doing it if I win. I tell you right now. That I promise you. You're going to stay right here. Because there's something, there is something great about tradition, something beautiful about it. There's also something beautiful about the people. I've gotten to know so many friends in New Hampshire, and there's something really amazing about the people. It's like we want to work hard. We want to really do something good for our families, and we want to do something absolutely great for our country. And that's what the spirit is up here. And I see it all the time. And every time I come up, I see that new spirit. You know, we have so many things happened over the last week and a half since Paris. And one of the things I bring up, and I bring it up all the time, is the Second Amendment. Because when you look at that slaughter that took place, Paris is one of the toughest gun zones anywhere in the world. You can't have a gun. And France also can't have a gun. It's virtually impossible to get one. And you look at those places where it was carnage. It was horrible. A horrible thing to watch and a horrible thing to see. And the aftermath was just disgraceful. And I can tell you, if people in that room, some of them, not many, you don't need too many, if a few of these characters, I'm looking at a couple of lists, stand up, let me see, stand up. If that guy happened to be in the crowd, and if he had a gun, they would have had a couple of killings, but they wouldn't have been the good guys, they would have been the bad guys, right? They would have been the bad guys. True. So, you have people that want to hurt the Second Amendment, they want to do all sorts of things to it, and they want to weaken it, and when you look at what happened there, when you look at some of these gun-free zones where the bad guys walk in, it's like target practice. And how about, not long ago, we had the 6 soldiers killed And two of them were world champion shooters. They were great, great soldiers. All of them were great soldiers. Two of them were champion shooters. They couldn't have a gun. That's going to end immediately because on our military bases, let me tell you. And then recently, as you know, at the school right here where it was a gun-free school, gun-free area, gun-free zone. And I think the police did an amazing job. They got there so quickly or it would have been much worse. But it was still a horrible thing. And when you look, though, at what took place in Paris, and they said, move over, boom, move over, boom, nobody could protect themselves. And so we have to really cherish and protect our Second Amendment, and I will be the best at it, believe me. Another thing I want to just talk about quickly, Common Core. We're going to bring education, and we're going to bring the parents and get the parents involved and all of the people locally involved. Common Core is ridiculous. You have people. I mean, when you think of it, Jeb Bush loves Common Core. How do you love Common Core? You can't love Common Core. It's the bureaucrats in Washington sitting down, getting a big fat paycheck. And then you look at our education where it's rated. We're rated number 28 in the world, and yet we're rated number 1 in terms of paying for per student, per pupil. We're rated number 1. And a lot, I mean, there's a big difference between number 1 and number 2. It's a tremendous difference. So we spend more per student than any other country in the world, and yet we're number 28. And we have third world countries that are ahead of us in education. Common Core is no good. You have to do it locally, and it's going to be much better. We'll do much better. You'll see us zoom up in the list. I was sort of, I'm a big believer. I'm such a believer in education. I understand education, and as somebody that really likes school, believe it or not, I like school. But I saw parents when they were involved with their classes and where you had the whole thing where the parents would come in and they'd form really little cliques around education. And you'd have people, they wanted to focus on math. They wanted to focus on English. They wanted to make their kids great. So I saw that, and I watched it. I went to different places. I went to some where they didn't have that. But where they had it, everybody did better. And you can't do that through Washington. And you can't do that through bureaucracy. So whether it's... Thank you. Thank you. So whether it's Bush or whether it's anybody wanting Common Core, it's just the wrong thing. It's the wrong thing for the children. Much more importantly than us, it's for the children. It's the absolute wrong thing. So since Paris, I've changed a lot in terms of what I'm telling people. Because I would talk about trade with China. Very important. But I can do that out of my back pocket. Believe me, I'll do a great job. I promise you that's going to be easy. But I won't go into any long stories about it, but I will tell you what they do with the devaluation of their currency and how they take advantage of us is hard to believe that we allow it to go through, and it's only because our politicians and our leader are incompetent. That's the only reason it happens. It's unbelievable what they do. $450 billion trade deficit. Numbers that you can't even believe. We don't even know what the trade deficit is. It's so large. Japan, the same thing. Probably 70 billion, around that number. Trade deficit. They pour the cars in. We sell them practically nothing. It's a one-way street. Mexico, and you know better than anybody with Mexico what's going on because a lot of your jobs have gone to Mexico. And we're going to sort of do things that are going to be very good. I have great respect for Mexico, great respect for the Mexican people. I have thousands, over the years, thousands of Hispanics, Mexicans, but Hispanics have worked for me. They're fantastic people. But in the case of Mexico, the country, they're fantastic people. I have thousands working for me right now. But over the years, tens of thousands of people have worked for me. And I will tell you, the Hispanics are great people, and I think I'm going to win the Hispanic vote. Tell you what, they just did a poll in Nevada where I'm leading with Hispanics, okay? And people are sort of like a little surprised. Maybe one of the better polls, so again, I'm not going to go through the poll thing because we're going to do some questions, but one of the better polls that just came out is Fox, where I'm leading in every state, I'm leading in nationally, but very importantly, we are just destroying Hillary. We're beating Hillary. Badly. We're beating her badly. So I talk about trade. I talk about the fact that we are going to repeal and replace Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, so we're going to do that. We are going to take care of our vets. Our vets are not taken care of properly. Where's my guy? Stand up, my man. He's become more famous than me in New Hampshire, right? He's more famous than me. Am I doing the right thing? You know, we're going to take care of our vets. And it is true. You know, we have illegal immigrants coming across the border unimpeded. Our border patrols are told to stand down. Stand down. You can't do anything. Stand down. People walking right through. Just walking across the border where you have Obama signing the executive order. Just come on in. Come on in. You either have a border or you don't have a border. Very simple. Very simple. And if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. You don't have a country. So we're going to build a wall. It's going to be a great wall. It's going to be a real wall. It's not going to be a penetrable wall. And people are going to come into our country, but they're going to come in legally. They're going to go through the process. They're going to come in legally, and that's the way it's going to be. And I want people to come in, and you want people to come in. And I don't want to lose a lot of our great talent. You know, we have students that come from Asia and come from all over. And they go to Harvard, and they go to Yale, and they go to Penn, and they go to all of the great schools. They go to Stanford. And as soon as they're finished, boom, they have to get out. It's unbelievable. Those people have to get out. But people that walk in illegally, they can stay as long as they want because there's nobody to tell them to go home. It's ridiculous. So we want to have that for Silicon Valley. We don't want to have a case in India where a person went to a great school, was a great student, had to leave the country, didn't want to leave the country, fought, lost, went to India, opened up a company that he was going to open up here, has now 5,000 employees. I mean, we don't want to lose that. So we want people coming in. We want people coming in, and especially we want talented people. We want job producers coming in. We have to put our people back to work. We have to bring back the jobs from China. We have to bring back the jobs from Mexico. We want to put our people to work. And it's sort of like there's no common sense. We don't have any common sense in the country. There's no common sense. You know, sometimes you'd say, are they intelligent people, the people that make some of these decisions? President Obama is right now saying that global warming is the single most important thing facing our country. No, he's saying it. And I thought, when I heard it, I thought somebody was joking with me. He said it. He said it yesterday, said it the day before. Here we have ISIS, we have Russia, we have things that we never had. I mean, Russia wasn't the big problem. It turned out to be a big problem. The relationship that Obama has with Putin is horrible. It's horrible. And I'm not blaming you. You know, sometimes you don't get along with people, you don't get along. But I don't think we've ever been in such peril. And the reason we're in such peril is the power of weaponry today. My uncle was a professor at MIT, Dr. John Trump. And he was a very brilliant guy. And he told me many years ago, he was an engineer, he told me many years ago that the power of weapons, this is years. He said, it's so frightening what will be. And he was so right. He worked on the Van de Graaff accelerator and a lot of very powerful things for. He was very big into cancer research. Very smart guy, very great guy. And he was telling me years ago the power. And the big problem we have is the power of weaponry. You know, the old days you'd say, let them fight, we'll never see them. But now they want us out of commission. And we can't let this happen. So we have to be really vigilant. We have to be very smart. I took a lot of heat from the press, a lot of heat when I said we have to be vigilant with the mosques. I mean, you know, they were saying, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. That's not nice. I mean, something's wrong. Something bad is happening. Something bad is happening. And we can't be the stupid ones that sit back and say, oh, we have to be very strong. We have to be very vigilant. Something really dangerous is going on. And we have to be sharp. I wrote in the book, America, the America We Deserve, I talked about Osama bin Laden. That was in 2000, 2 years before the World Trade Center came down, right? See, she nodded. But it was a book that I wrote, and I heard this guy. He was a terrorist. He was a guy with a big mouth, and he was saying what he's going to do to the country. And I just wrote in the book that Osama bin Laden, bad guy, we better do something. He's going to crawl under a rock, I think I said, and we better do something with him. And then a year and a half later, the World Trade Center came down. I would have done something with him, I tell you, because he was talking bad stuff, and we didn't do anything. And one of the MCs, one of the morning show people who's a fantastic guy, Joe Scarborough, said, you know, Trump actually called Osama bin Laden before the World Trade Center came down. He said, let me see the book. He wanted to see it because he didn't even believe it. But we have to know what's going to happen before it happens. And some people have an instinct for that, and most people don't. So we need the right leadership. But one of the things that has changed, and it's sad that it's changed. I loved talking about the whole thing with trade because it's so important. I love talking about even Obamacare. It's gonna fold itself in 17. You know, I don't know if you see what's happening. Your premiums are doubling, tripling. They're up to 35, 40%. They're going up by numbers that nobody can believe. It's lousy coverage. And by the way, you're covered for things you'll never use. That's one of the reasons it's so expensive. You have people that are covered for things that can never happen to them, and things that don't even pertain to them, but it's through the roof. And, you know, the deductibles are so high that unless you get hit by a truck, you're not going to ever be able to use it anyway. Not that you want to use it, but you need it for safety. And it's going to, in 17, literally implode. It's a disaster. And I guess you've been reading the articles over the last, and I've been saying it's going to implode. Very few sign-ups. It's a disaster. And whoever the next president better be good, because that's going to be a big thing. But the good news is we repeal it and we replace it. We don't try and fix it because it's not fixable. We repeal it and we replace it with something that can be so good. We get rid of the lines between states. We let the privates come in and they bid. You know, the insurance companies make a fortune with Obamacare. And they were big contributors to Obama. And right now you have contributors. I mean, I'm proud to say I'm the only person that's self-funding his campaign. I self-fund my campaign. I mean, you look at all of these people, whether it's Bush with over $100 million, got $125 million. I don't think it's going to help him. I see more ads. I say, turn off the television. I can't watch another one of those ads. And he doesn't go up. But I see the other one, this guy Kasich. I mean, he writes this phony ad about me. He's terrible. By the way, I'm beating him. Think of it. He's the governor of Ohio. I'm killing him in Ohio in the poll. Killing him. But when I look at the money that these guys, they raise money and they spend a lot of money, but they're all controlled by the people that put up the money. And who knows the game better than I? I mean, I was on the other side. You know, I've only been a politician for about 5 months. I hate to say it. I'm embarrassed to tell you that. No, you know, I mean, think of it. All talk, right? What's my expression? All talk, no action. But I've been a politician for, you know, a very short period of time. But I understand the game from the other side. I was like Mr. Establishment, actually, you know, because I contribute lots of money. And, you know, look, I'm not knocking the system. I guess there's probably no system that can be perfect. But I can tell you this. When somebody gives $1 million or $5 million or $2 million to Kasich or Bush or any of these guys, they're totally controlled, 100% controlled by that donor. And when that donor has a company or when that donor is representing a country because they're lobbyists and they get a lot of money for being lobbyists, they will do whatever. These guys, they want to run for office again. They don't want to lose their fat cats. They don't want to lose all of that source of money. They're not going to lose it. They're going to do whatever they want. And me, I'm working for you. I'm doing this. I want to make this country so great again. It's got such problems with the regulations. With everything is just wrong. Everything is just wrong. So what's happened, though, is since Paris, I've changed my talk and changed whatever I say in a speech, and I've changed it very strongly. Oh, look at all these people. They're still pouring in. It's hard to get in. It's hard. Hi. I hope you didn't miss. Should I start all over again? I'll start all over again. Thank you for coming. But I've changed my speech, and I've really been focusing now on terrorism and borders because, you know, they do intercede very strongly. And when I came out in June, and I announced from Trump Tower in New York City about illegal immigration, I'm going to run for president. It takes courage to run for president. I'm saying, oh, my God, look at that down there. You had to see the lobby of Trump Tower. I have never seen so many cameras in my life. It looked like the Academy Awards. And I said to my wife, well, let's go, the famous escalator, right? And she went out and looked very elegant waving, and I'm waving. But I just took a deep breath. I said, we got to do it. We got to do it. And I made a speech. And it was interesting because it was very well received. Then a week and a half later, they said, well, wait a minute, maybe that was a very harsh statement. I talked about illegal immigration. And it turned out to be right. Illegal immigration is a big problem. And then you had the killing of Kate and the killing of Jamil and the killing of so many people. And so many things are going on so bad. You also, excuse me, but you're losing tremendous numbers of jobs. People in this country can't get jobs. And illegals are coming in and taking jobs that people here would like to have. A lot of bad things are happening. And I brought it out to the forefront. And then I went up, way up in the polls. And a lot of that, I guess, had to do with illegal. I mean, I talk about a lot of other things, but a lot of people think that if I didn't bring up illegal immigration, which is a huge problem, we wouldn't even be talking about it. We wouldn't be talking about it now. The other candidates wouldn't be talking. I mean, they wouldn't be talking about it. And, you know, you look at Rubio, who's very, very weak on illegal immigration, and I mean extremely weak. You look at his stance on amnesty. He wants amnesty for everybody. He was a member of the Gang of Eight. He's going to be very bad on illegal immigration. You have to have it. When Jeb comes out and said, you know, remember he talked about love, right? They come in for love. I said, they come in for what? Right? Remember the famous expression? I actually said a couple of things. Between Common Core and they come in for love, I said that's the end of his campaign. I think I turned out to be right. But all of them are weak, and they're just weak. I think they're weak generally. You want to know the truth, but I won't say that because I don't want to get myself. I don't want to have any controversy. Is that okay? No controversy. So I refuse to say that they're weak generally, okay? They're fine people. And some of them are fine people, but they are weak on certainly illegal immigration, and we have to be very strong and we have to be very vigilant. But what's happening is that the borders, and, you know, everybody gives me the A+ on the borders, but the borders have turned into be very important, having to do with terrorism, because we don't want people coming in that are looking to hurt us, that are looking to do numbers on us, that are looking to blow up cities and blow up buildings and blow up even mountaintops, okay? We don't want that. We want people that we want. And when I looked at the Syrian migration, it's a terrible thing to look. I mean, it's a horrible thing. And frankly, I think Merkel did a horrible job when she accepted so many. I think in Germany, they're going to have problems like you've never seen. They already have. They're having huge problems. They're having huge crime waves and huge problems. But what they should do and what they should have done, because we all have a heart, we want to see it worked out. I mean, it's sad. I mean, it is sad, but I will say this, and I was the first one to bring it up. Now people bring it up when they see it, but they see this migration. You see so many young, strong guys, right? Younger than you. Stand up. Let me see. Stand up. Look at this guy. Younger. They might not, he's been a friend of ours. They might not be tougher than you. I think you're tougher than them, but you know what? They're young, strong men. So many men. And you see few women and children. But you see so many men. And at first I heard maybe 3,000. I said, oh, maybe, you know, it was brand new. And then all of a sudden you start to say, what's going on here? And then you hear they want to bring in 10. But you know that number's not 10,000. You know the number's going to be much higher. And even if it was, you can't take it. There's no documents. There's no documentation whatsoever. There's no paperwork. Nobody knows where they come from. Nobody knows if they're ISIS. And I say it could be the great Trojan horse of all time. And, you know, you don't need to have 10,000 people like that. You need to have 20 and 30 and 5 and 2. We can have trouble like we've never had before. But you look at these young, strong people, and the first thing I said, why aren't they back fighting for their country? But the second thing, when you look at the migration, you build a safe zone in Syria, where I think they want to be anyway. You know, it's interesting. I have thousands of people that work for me, and when they retire, a lot of them are from outside of this country. They come from countries that you wouldn't think would be like a place you'd want to go back to. They all want to go back to their country. That's where they grew up. That's where they have relatives. That's where they have whatever, history. And it's surprising. You know, they grow up, they work in the United States, and they want to make money, and they're here legally in my case. I do the E-Verify stuff, and there's a lot of ways of making it so it works. But they want to go back to their country. And it actually surprises me. You know, they say, well, don't you like it here? Well, we do, but you know, Mr. Trump, it's my country. It's my country. I love my country. It's really amazing. Well, I think it's probably in its own way true with Syria, too. And it would be great if you could do, and you have to get the Gulf states. I mean, the Gulf states make so much money, and they're not taking anybody. I mean, they're smart in that way. They're smart, but they're not taking anybody. They're putting up very little money, and they have more money than anybody, and they're just not doing the thing. You got to get them and others, and we'll do a little bit ourselves, but we got to devote our money to us for a change. We have to rebuild our country. We have to rebuild our country. You know, like, as an example, I said we're going to build a wall. We are. We're going to build a great wall, and Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Mexico is going to pay for the wall. And some of these clowns, like Kasich, Mexico will never pay for the wall because they don't have a clue. They're not business people. You are. If we're losing 40 to 45 to even $50 billion a year with Mexico, we have a trade imbalance of those kind of numbers. Plus, we give them billions of dollars. We give Mexico billions of dollars. And all of that. Then you say to yourself, well, the wall is peanuts compared to the numbers we're talking about. So, of course, they're going to pay for it. But you have to have the right messenger. It's like Kerry was the wrong messenger with the Iran deal. The Iran deal is catastrophic. The level of stupidity. The first thing we should have said is, you got to give us back our prisoners. You give them back. Just give them back. We don't want to talk. Give them back. You give them back. According to what they said, this is hard to believe, they never once have asked for our prisoners back. So we gave them $150 billion. We gave them, in some cases, self-inspection. In other cases, 24 days, but the 24-day doesn't start for a long period. It's got a whole process, like a legal process, right? From MIT. Stand up. But he never heard of my uncle. He's a professor at MIT, and he tends to agree with me on global warming, I think. So that's good, because MIT is a good place. But we make these deals, they're so bad. And if we had the right messenger, we would have said, listen, you have to give us back our prisoners. First day, not at the end, where we just keep saying, okay, we'll take it. Okay, we'll take it. Stupid. You have to give us back. First day. 3 years ago. Did you ever see a negotiation take so long, by the way? I mean, somebody said to me, one of the big magazines said, how long should it take? And I said, 2 days, maybe a week. Okay? This is like, we're not sending a rocket up to the moon. Anyway, so it goes back and forth, and you would have said, got to give us back our prisoners. You got 4 people, and it used to be 3, now it's 4. And they would have said no. And I would have said, it's okay. Guess what? Bye-bye. You leave the room, you double up the sanctions, maybe triple up the sanctions. I guarantee you within 24 hours they're calling, and you got your prisoners. You got your prisoners. You got your prisoners. The same, well, I did write The Art of the Deal, in all fairness, and I have built a great, great company and all that stuff. But you know what? It's simple. They never even asked for the prisoners. And same thing with Mexico. You say, got to pay for the wall. Got to pay for the wall. They're going to pay for the wall. But the politicians that are up on stage, can you imagine? He's asking Mexico to pay for the wall. I'm saying, like, what's wrong with that? Hey, I've been saying bomb the oil for how many years? You've been listening to me, right? But I've been saying different. I'm saying bomb the oil and keep it. I'm saying take the oil. No. And give some of the enormous profits from that oil. When we left Iraq, we shouldn't have been in there first place. I always said, don't go in. You're going to destabilize the Middle East. You take a look. Anytime. 2004, 2003, Trump. Don't go in. A group came to see me from the White House because I do get a lot of publicity for whatever reason. I don't even know what it is myself, if you want to know the truth. But I said, don't go in because you're going to destabilize the Middle East. So they said, weapons of mass destruction. It turned out there were no weapons of mass destruction. So that was a disaster. But once we were there, and you had these 2 powers, Iran and Iraq, and they were the same. And they'd fight. They go 10 feet back, forth, they'd rest. 10 feet, forever, right? They fight. That's all they do is fight. They keep fighting. But we decapitated one of the two. And so the other now is taking over. They're going to take over among the largest oil reserves in the world. People don't realize Iraq has among the largest oil reserves, second, according to many, but among the largest oil reserves of the world. And we got nothing. We left. And we had a president, we shouldn't have been there, but then we had a president that didn't know how to leave. He left nobody behind, and he announced when he's leaving. How would you like to announce when you're leaving to the enemy? So the enemy says, we're going to pull back. I know exactly what they said. They said, nobody can be that stupid. This is what the soldiers said. This is what their generals said. This is what their leaders said. They said to themselves, this has to be a bluff. Nobody can be that stupid. But let's assume he's stupid because he's made so many other dumb mistakes. So let's assume. Remember, he picked the day that he's leaving. Is that right, my man? Is that right? Stand up. This guy is the most loyal guy. Does he love the veterans? Right? Everybody knows him. I know him. He's practically at every speech I make in New Hampshire. And he's a real loyal guy. And he's a great guy. But we got it. What? We know you're focused on the veterans, and you're the only one that has a plan. He said, I'm focused on the veterans. I'm the only one that has a plan. That's right. I'm the only one that has a plan. I have a real plan, too. Thank you. Thanks. I have a plan that works. I have a plan. You know, the veterans wait, and some of it's really bad here, but because New Hampshire is a huge veteran state, disproportionately large, but we put in a plan, very complex and all, but something that really works and works well. The veterans sometimes wait 4, 5, 6 days in a waiting room before they can see a doctor. What kind of stuff is that? They saved us. They're braver than all of us. They're braver than I am. I'm financially brave. But, you know, I don't know if I'm the other. I don't even know. You have to be tested. These guys, these are fantastic people. And the Wounded Warriors, I think they're the bravest people. I've never seen anything like it. Their spirit, their life, they're incredible. But they go to a hospital, and they wait. I remember it was on a Wednesday. It was like 3 months ago on Wednesday, where it was announced that the longest waits in the history of the very corrupt, it's a totally corrupt Veterans Administration. We will put in such great people in there. But the corrupt Veterans Administration, 3 months ago, they said the waits are the longest they've been in the history of the Veterans Administration, where a guy, a soldier, who's a terrific, brave person who was injured or who's hurt or who has a simple problem where a minor operation or a pill can take care of that person, he or she, and they're waiting 5 days. And people are dying waiting in line. And I heard the numbers, and the numbers are in the thousands where they're dying. It's almost hard to say the numbers because you wouldn't believe it's possible. They wait 5 and 6 days. Can you imagine yourselves waiting 5? Me, how about me? If I wait 2 minutes, I'm like, what's wrong with this doctor? Now, can you imagine having to wait 5 days and 6 days? And then in one case, they waited 5 days, and then the doctor said, I'm sorry, I'm off now, I'm going on vacation, okay? And by the way, I think they have actually some very good doctors. I've actually heard some really good things about the doctors in the VA, but the administration is horrendous. And we have a thing that if you're waiting, and if it's going to be a long wait, you're going down to a private doctor or a private hospital or a public hospital that might be 2 blocks away. You're going to get yourself taken care of, and the government's going to pay for it. And that's going to cost less money than what we go through with this horrible system that we have. And everybody is loving it. It's simple. It's simple. But we'll take care of our vets. So we're going to take care of them good, properly. So simple. So simple. So I've been focused so much then on the terrorism, and what's happened is everybody's saying, well, Trump does best in that, and a lot of that morphed into the fact that the borders are the way they are, and that I am definitely the best on the borders. People are not strong on border at all because they don't know how to do it. They don't, and by the way, they don't know how to build. I build buildings all over the place. I'm doing one now, the old post office. Can you imagine? I bought it from the Obama administration. Can you imagine this? No, think of it. One of the best pieces of property in the United States, one of the most heavily wanted properties anywhere. I'm building a hotel there, a great hotel, Trump International Hotel, and it's going to be a phenomenal project. It's under budget, very much ahead of schedule, It's doing fantastically. It's going to be one of the best hotels anywhere in the world. It's going to be great. But that's what I do. I mean, I do that stuff. So somebody said, but you can't build a wall. A wall. I built buildings that are 94 stories tall, and that's tough stuff. You know, this is so easy. I mean, think of it. You know, some of you are in the construction business. Think of garages. You know the concrete plank that goes 60, 70, 80, 90 feet, right? Concrete plank for garage floors. It's precast. You put a foundation. You put a rut. You put it up. You make it beautiful. You put a little design in the concrete. You can do that easily. Because someday you know what it's going to be called, right? The Trump Wall. We have to make it beautiful. We have to make it beautiful. We have to make it nice. And that wall will be higher than this building. Nobody's going to drive their trucks. You ever see the picture in one of the magazines where they drive the truck? The wall's over here. They build a ramp. From Mexico to the United States, they build a ramp. Up the ramp, down the ramp, sell the drugs, come back with money. We get the drugs, they get the money. How stupid are we? How stupid. This one, if you ever get to the top of that sucker, you're going to be looking down, you're going to say, help. Okay? No, we're going to build a real wall. You know one of the reasons they never got the wall built? You know, a lot of people wanted to build the wall. A lot of people were against illegal immigration that are now very much for it, essentially. But a lot of people wanted to build the wall. You know one of the reasons they couldn't build the wall? They couldn't get their environmental impact statements done. Can you believe this? They had, it's sand. So maybe it was turtles, maybe, I don't know. They couldn't get, you can imagine what these environmentalists got paid for this environmental impact statement. They went years, they couldn't get, this is a true story. They couldn't get their environmental impact statement done. Now, another one I heard, this can't be true. And that's why I say it for the press, because they'll say Trump said. But, I mean, it can't be true. It's too crazy. But I said, bomb the oil, take the oil. You got to take the wealth away from ISIS, right? So I've been saying for a long time. They've been saying, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Well, after Paris, boom, they started bombing. Can you imagine? France is the one that started. France is leading us. It's amazing. It's amazing. He's looking. He's saying, it's amazing. But you know what? Hey, I give the police in France, I give them a lot of credit. They did a good job. They went in there. That was not easy. They did a good job. I think they did a great job. But I've been saying bomb the oil. One of the reasons Obama didn't want to bomb the oil is because of the environment. Can you believe this? He didn't want to bomb the oil because of the environment. There's tremendous environmental pollution going into the air. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds like it's true. As stupid as it is, it sounds like it's true. He didn't want to pollute the air. So therefore, let ISIS grow and let ISIS become rich and make $1 million. They're making $1 million a day with their oil. So France went in, they started, and, one of those things. But I would bomb it. I would then keep it. I would then make deals with the big oil companies who can go in there so fast. If you ever saw these people put up a rig, you wouldn't believe what they can do. And we'll rebuild it. Knock the hell out of it, and then don't worry, we'll rebuild it. Don't try and save anything. And then, and I'm telling you, and I just alluded to it, but I would take tremendous amounts. I would keep it. I would keep it. To the victor belong the spoils, We're the only one. We're the only country where you win a war and we leave. We leave. What did we get? In Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives killed, lives all over, thousands. We don't even know how many, thousands of lives. Wounded warriors who I love all over the place, right? And then we'll leave. We'll leave. And now Iran's taking over. Russia's taking over. They're all taking it. We did all of this. We were there for years. We get nothing. We get nothing. Those days are over. Those days are over. But one of the things I wanted to do, and I've said this for years, and the people that know and like Trump, one of the things comes out in the poll that I have the most loyal people. That people say, he can do anything. He can do anything. So I don't know if that's right, but they say that I have the most loyal people. Others, if you sneeze, they drop you. Me, I can sneeze, I can say things that I think are right. Like, do you notice what's happening in New Jersey? They're now finding a lot of people are saying, yeah, that did take place in New Jersey, right? I wasn't going to apologize. I wasn't going to apologize. A lot of things happened today where they were dancing and they were happy. There were a lot of happy people over in New Jersey. And I saw it, and a lot of people saw it, and I'm getting hundreds of phone calls, and a lot of other people are too. And things are all of a sudden materializing. So people said, you should apologize. I said, I don't apologize. Hey, look, if I'm wrong about something, I want to apologize. There's nothing wrong. What? Who was that? What did they say? Oh, Bernie. Oh, Bernie's finished, man. What's up, Bernie? Bernie, honestly, Bernie has had it. Bernie's had it. He's got his hernia operation, which is good that he got it out of the way. Bernie's had it. You know, Bernie gave it up. I'll tell you what. So we get by far the biggest crowds. Bernie gave it up when, during the debate, he gave up the emails. He said, I think you should stop. I mean, she's being investigated by the FBI in very serious investigations where General Petraeus and others suffered greatly for what happened with 5% of what she's done. Did you see all the classified she got in the last batch? They're all over the place. These other guys, for peanuts, they got 2 years probation. They go to jail. I mean, it's incredible. So whoever that young person was, it sounded like that was the last of the Bernie people. Boy. I said, you know, when Bernie did that whole thing with the email, like, oh, that's fine, you know, I said, that's a great soundbite for 10 seconds, and that's the end of his campaign. I was right. He's, by the way, not getting the crowds anymore. It's over for Bernie. It's over for Bernie. So anyway, we are going to do things that are going to be, you're going to be so proud, you're going to be so happy. You're going to be so happy. We're going to run it smart. We're going to be the smart people instead of the dumb people. We're going to be tough. But we're going to be heart, we're going to have great heart, and we're going to do things for people that can't help themselves. As Republicans, we want to help. You know, sometimes they say, well, you can't do that. The people that can't get medical, they can't. What are we going to do? Let them die in the streets? We're not going to let that happen. So we're going to be the smart people. We're going to be the compassionate people. But we're going to bring all our jobs back. We're going to make this place so great. And I honestly believe we're going to make it greater than ever before. We could do it because the people are so amazing. The people are so amazing. So I've been very focused on security, and I've been really focused on it, and I've really been thinking a lot about it, and we're going to have great security, and we're going to do things that people never thought were possible. And you're going to be proud of me, and I'm going to be proud of you, and we're going to all get up and vote. You know, the last time, people let us down. Should have happened. Something should have happened. A lot of people didn't vote. I mean, in all fairness. Now, there was not a lot of spirit for Mitt. In all fairness, a lot of people, if the people got up and voted, that election would have been a whole different story. People that should have voted for the Republicans. So instead, we got 4 more terrible years with Obama. We can't let that happen. You know, I backed McCain, he lost. I backed Mitt Romney, he lost. This time I said, now I'm going to do it myself, right? I'm doing it myself. No, I'm doing it myself. So what I want to do tonight, and, you know, well, I don't look forward to that drive down that hill with the ice. So let's just stay here all night. Let's wait till What I want to do is let's take a few questions, and we'll do a little question and answer period, which is a little different. Okay? Come on. Do you have a mic out there, folks? Okay, here he is. Go ahead. Right over here is perfect. Sure, go ahead. Good-looking guy.
My name is Daniel Ward. I'm a civil engineer.
Hi, Daniel.
Live in Bridgewater.
Hold that mic a little higher so it doesn't bend
All
down.
right.
It's like he's bending down to pick up a piece of paper.
No, what I want to ask you is about your patriotism.
Right.
One of the things I keep saying to myself is you don't really need this.
That's true.
You don't need to be the next president of the United States. And being a president used to be a position of a lot of prestige and honor, and it just doesn't seem like it's that anymore.
It's tough.
And one of the things I respect about you is I feel that you genuinely care about this country, and you have a deep-seated love for America. You're a patriot, and if we were being invaded and I had to jump in a foxhole with an M16, I'd want you right there with me.
Thank you.
I know we would.
But
I want to ask you, I want to ask you the source of that. Was that something in your childhood? What makes you just love this country and the way that you do?
Well, thank you very much. Boy, I picked a good guy for that first question. Huh? I knew I liked him.
Very good. Great way.
Thank you. I love the country. I've seen what it can do. I didn't serve. I haven't served. And frankly, I had deferments because of college, like a lot of people did. Numerous deferments because of college. And I had a foot thing, and I had deferment for that. At some point, I probably would have. I was also in the draft, and I got a very high number. I think it was 356. Can you believe that? During the middle of the Vietnam War, I had a very, very high draft number, almost at the end. In fact, I got in about 4 numbers late, and they kept going, numbers. I said, oh, I guarantee my number must have been one of those early numbers. But it turned out that was one of, look, that was a rough war. And there's another war. What do we get out of it? We got to get things out of it. When we use our military, a lot of people say, like Jeb and Hillary, they said, Trump's tone, his tone. We need tough tone. We have to have tough tone. They're cutting off our heads. They're chopping our people's heads off. If they're a Christian, their heads are coming off in the Middle East. We need a tough tone. So what happened is I always felt a little guilty. And I was always, like other people, frankly, that didn't serve, because I have people that did serve, and I have friends that served, and they're very proud of it. Some are no longer with us because of the fact that they served. They're very brave in many ways. But I've done a lot of things. I built, as a lot of the folks know, the Vietnam Memorial in New York with a group of folks that were fantastic. I contributed a lot of money. It's in a way, it's a way of making up. It was very expensive, very good. It's downtown Manhattan. People love it. And the funny thing, I've built a lot of things, and people forget. But the Vietnam Memorial, to this day, if I'm walking down the street, which is getting to be less and less, it's getting to be a little tough. But I would tell you, the people, the military, so often they come up to me, Mr. Trump, thank you for building the Vietnam Memorial. That was many years ago. That was in the 1990s. Thank you so much for building the Vietnam Memorial. They still thank me for it. They remember it. The people remember. The military, they have unbelievable heart. Another thing that happened, I think it was 1996, I got a call from Rudy Giuliani, and I got a call from a few other people. The Veterans Parade, the Memorial Day Parade, which was our big parade, they moved it to Riverside Drive. Riverside Drive has no people. They took it off Fifth Avenue, and they took it off Broadway, and they moved it to an area, and they had like 300 people show up for the Memorial Day Parade, which was a big, military parade. And people said to me, that's disgusting. And it was covered so big that there were no people. The soldiers would walk down. In many cases, they became very elderly, and they'd be walking down. There was nobody to cheer, nobody to anything. And a group of people came to see me, and they said, we have to make it up. We can't let that happen. And the following year, we had one of the biggest parades in the history of New York, down Fifth Avenue, down Broadway. We had one of the biggest parades. You can look this up. One of the biggest parades, over 1 million people, one of the biggest parades in the history of New York. So, which was one of my proudest days. To be honest, that was one of my proudest days, because you had to see the first year was so horrible to see it. And boy, did the news play that up. Nobody cares. Nobody cared. And we all cared, but we had to do something about it. So it cost a lot of money, but we pulled off something, and I pulled off something in that case. That was something I'm very proud of, really proud of. So I love the country. I want to see great things for the country, and we will see great things for the country. Okay? Okay, question? Who's got another mic? Do you have a mic over here? Go ahead. Hello.
Hi, my name is Tom.
Hi, Tom.
I wanted to ask you that now that China has agreed to implement a cap-and-trade program to reduce carbon emissions, if you think America should do the same, so we don't lose the economic and environmental edge to China.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about that now. The young guys, the young, good-looking guy back there, and it's fine. It's good. There's nothing like idealism. China's not going to abide by it, okay? China's buying coal. We're not allowed to burn coal anymore, essentially. All our furnaces are being dried up, and China's taking our coal. They're burning it. And, when you're talking about the planet and you're talking about the universe, the difference between China and the U.S. is like walking over to this chair. So they're spewing fumes into the atmosphere, and we're not. they're doing their factories at much lower pricing. I mean, much lower. You know, we have so many restrictions, rules, regulations that you can't even breathe. And we're making it impossible. China will not obey by what they sign. They're not going to sign anything meaningful. And frankly, you know, a lot of people question global warming, and we have a lot of discussion about that. But China will not abide by those rules. Now, one of the things that they're signing and one of the things that they're insisting on is the United States has to act immediately, and they don't have to act for many years. Immediately, that's like one of the deals we make. That's like one of the deals we make. They don't have to do it now. They can do it in many years. We have to do it immediately. That's like Japan. You know, if Japan gets attacked, we have to immediately come to its defense. We have no choice. We have to come to its defense. But if we get attacked, Japan does not have to do anything for us. These are the deals we have, folks. I mean, it's crazy. What? What was that? These people, stand up. Stand up. What did he say? Go ahead. Speak up.
There we go. Thank you. We bombed Japan. We forced them into.
No, I understand. Well, you know,
we
they
forced
weren't
them to sign
exactly
a
nice to
constitution
us.
that
They
made them
did do
dismantle
Pearl Harbor.
international military.
Excuse
They
me.
couldn't do it if
Who
they
did
wanted
it first? Who did it first? Didn't we have a thing called Pearl Harbor? Huh? You're right. You know what? You know what? We bombed the hell out of them because they came at us first. And they did a number on us on that Sunday morning that was the greatest sneak attack of all time. The only thing worse, frankly, was what they did, what was done, as you know, and by you know who, to the World Trade Center. Because that was an attack on civilians. At least Japan, it was a total rotten sneak attack, but at least they were going against the military. We had people knocking out buildings where innocent civilians were having dinner and where they were in an office. That was the worst attack of all time, the World Trade Center. But, I mean, and I appreciate you being a idealistic young man, but Japan attacked us. Japan would have never stopped, except we were tougher and stronger and meaner and smarter than them. And we knocked the hell out of them. Isn't it amazing how, I mean, young guy, good guy, but isn't it amazing how quickly people forget, though? Isn't it really? There's a case of it. Look what we did to Japan. We don't want to do that. So it's one of those things. Okay, how about another question over here? Go ahead, any place. Just give somebody a mic, yeah. He's not a very aggressive guy with a mic, but he's a good guy. He's the least aggressive mic person I've ever seen, but he's great. Okay, go ahead. Look at this man.
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you for coming to Waterville Valley.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Barry Fish, and I live here in Waterville. And my question revolves around Medicare and Social Security.
Right.
I'm
I love
1 month
question.
away from collecting. I'm 65 years old. I'm 1 month away from collecting.
Really? Wow.
I'm one of the fortunate ones. But we all know Social Security and Medicare is becoming insolvent. I've got a young
Well, that's
gentleman-
largely because our country is insolvent. You know that. If we
I
can
have a
make our
young
country
gentleman
rich,
here-
you know, it's a great question, though. It's important. People have signed up for Social Security. They've paid into Social Security. They've been spending a lot of money like you have all your life. And then you get these politicians. They say, we want to cut it down. We want to raise the age. We're going to give you much less than you bargained for. No. I'm not doing that. Now, we're going to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse. You know, there are thousands and thousands of cards that are going to people that are 112 years old. Did you see that? Thousands. It's like hundreds of millions of dollars where the cards are going to people that are 112 years old. Thousands of cards. Okay, all that stuff goes. That's just bad management, and nobody's surprised to hear this now. But we're going to make our country rich again, and we're going to take care of our Medicare, and we're going to take care of our Social Security, and we're going to be able to do it. We're going to be able to do it easily. We got to bring our country back. We got to get our jobs back and all of this, and then Medicare and Social Security will take care of itself. I mean, I was watching Ben Carson the other day say he wants to get rid of Medicare. Medicare actually works, okay? There's abuse and there's fraud and there's things that are going on that shouldn't be going on, but we'll take care of that. But Medicare is a program, I think you know, that works. And I just think it's unfair that people who have spent their life paying in, and they paid in a lot, and all of a sudden they're going to raise the age by 4 years, and they're going to do all sorts of things. No, that's not going to happen with me. Not going to happen with me. We're going to make our country rich again, and we're going to save as it is, but in a better form. But we're going to save our Social Security and our Medicare. Okay? Thank you. And I think I'm the only one that says that of the Republicans. I think I'm the only one that says that. And frankly, I'm the only one that can do it, because in order to do it, you have to bring in a lot of good things. Go ahead. Yes. Go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, you got it. Good evening, Mr. Trump.
How are you?
Good. Today is World AIDS Day.
It was what?
Today is World AIDS Day.
Yes. Good. World AIDS Day. Yes.
As a successful businessman, you know a good investment when you see it. Our partnership with the Global Fund to fight AIDS, malaria, and tuberculosis saves about 100 lives a month.
Right.
There's a very well-documented track record of success.
Great.
If you're president, will you make sure the United States continues to fund its full 1/3 share of the Global Fund?
Honestly, it sounds good to me. I have to look. But it sounds really good to me. Okay? It really does. I mean, that's the kind of thing we should be doing. I love it. Okay? Sounds good to me. Totally. Go ahead. Right there. Look how excited she is.
What do you want?
Oh, boy. Look at that. Look at the excitement in her eyes. That's called youth. Okay.
Hi, Mr. Trump. I have a question for you.
Uh-oh. This could be a killer question, too. You know, it's always the one that you least suspect. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to college in a couple of months. How will you make college affordable for the middle class?
Okay, good. By the way, it is a question going around to all over New Hampshire and Iowa, in particular these two places, South Carolina. It is a question that I get probably more than any other question. I get a second question, too, because kids are borrowing up to the hilt. They're working hard. They're going to nice colleges. They're doing well. They're good students. They get out. They can't get a job. So the best thing I can do is I'm going to make sure when you get out, you're going to get jobs. That's the most important thing. But the other thing, look how she's so happy. Stand up again. I love her. The enthusiasm. Isn't that beautiful? Look at her. I think I could give her a really horrible answer and she'd love it, you know? But we're going to make it because, you know, one of the only programs that the United States makes a lot of money on is college loans, right? They make a lot of money. And one of the things I want to look into, because in all due respect, these colleges, they're going through the roof. How come they're going up so much? Why are they going up, right? Look, stand up, sir. This guy's smart, and your wife looks even smarter than you. Stand up. Who's the smart one? She's smarter than you, I'll bet, right? But it's true, right? We have businesses, and, you know, it's 2%. These colleges are going through the roof. And I think one of the reasons, thank you, I think one of the reasons they're going through the roof very simply is because the college loan, it's given out by the United States. They give out these vast percentages of the student aid and of the loans that students are borrowing. And these colleges they're just going up too fast. There's something going on. And you look at the kind of salaries paid to the heads of the colleges, it's like they're running a business, a real business, a big business, and we have to stop that from happening. And with that being said, we have to do something with the interest rates because the kids can't afford it. They can't afford it. You have kids going to colleges, they can't afford it. Now, if you listen to Bernie Sanders, everything's free. The problem with that is your taxes are going to go through the roof. There's nothing that's free, you know? Because I'd like to say politically, darling, congratulations. She's so cute. Come on over here. Can you get over here? The enthusiasm, look at that. The enthusiasm. I actually was giving her bad news, and she said, thank you so much. It was great. But no, Bernie Sanders, you know, somebody's got to pay for it. And then Hillary's being dragged over to the left. She doesn't want to be, but she's being dragged over to the left. And what it's going to mean is your taxes are going to go through the roof. In my tax plan, I'm cutting taxes so low for the middle class. But, and I have to say this, young people like the two young ladies over there, they want to be able, when they get out, they want to be able to feel like, boom, I did it. I got that loan done. There's something to that. But we can't have a plan where, I mean, basically, look, he's a socialist, I guess. That's what you'd say. I say he's a communist. If you look at some of his stuff, nobody knows what the hell he is. I don't think he knows what he is, if you want to know the truth. But he has a plan. Everybody gets free everything. That will destroy the colleges. It'll destroy our incentives. It'll destroy our youth. But we have to do something with the cost of colleges. It's too high. It's gone up too fast. There's something going on there. And one of the reasons is the money is coming in. It's going to the students. The problem is the students are on the hook for it. And we're going to get those college costs down, and we're going to get those interest rates down, okay? And we're going to get you jobs. When you finish, you're going to have jobs. Because the biggest problem, they graduate, and they don't have any jobs. Okay, we'll do one or two more. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, love the hair, feathered and lethal.
Love the hair. This is the best. Love the hair. I love this guy. Beautiful. Okay, thank you. It is mine. You know, do I take abuse with his hair? Thank you very much. I like your hair. I'll trade you right now, believe me.
That's an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
So as successful as you are, to be successful, what do you suggest young adults, much like myself, should major in university?
Okay, so I love that question. So I'm successful. What? Because I make speeches about success. I love the concept of doing that, and I do that. I give a lot of money to charity because they pay me a lot of money, and I give that money to charity. And I will tell you, you have to do something you love. You have to. And well, he's going to run in the Trump campaign. I love that, but I appreciate it. But you have to do what you love. And I've seen it. I've had so many different stories, but I've seen it. A lot of friends will call me and they'll say, Donald, and they're successful guys in many cases. They'll say, could you see my son or my daughter, and could you talk about success? And I'll see that they like, and I'll do it. It's hard sometimes. You know, you're busy, you're a little bit busy. Excuse me, I can't do it now. I'm running for president, right? And running a business. I'm running a business at the same time. I want to stop with a business and let the country be like, you know, the thing I totally focus on. Oh, will that be easy? In many respects, it's going to be easier than running a business. But what you have to do is you have to get in two things. Never quit, never give up, and you have to do what you like. Now, if you can also find something that's good. For instance, there are some jobs that you may like, but they're not very profitable. It's going to be very hard for you to become rich with those jobs. But if you love it, that's okay. But if you can find something you love that's also good, like I tell people, real estate's good, oil is good. Oil has always been, you know, energy has always been a great sector. And I tell people, go into that. But some people want to be professors, they want to be teachers, which is more important than all of it. But you won't make as much money, but you'll love it. You got to do what you love. I have so many friends where they forced their children into doing things that the kids didn't want to do because they said, oh, I don't want my son doing this or that. And I say, you're making a terrible mistake. And I'm almost always right about it. If you do what you love, and if you never, ever quit, because I've seen people that are really, so I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I've seen some of the people that graduated with me were really like beyond smart. But they were missing that stick-to-itiveness, you know, that thing where you don't quit. And other guys went with me, and they were not as smart, but they were really driven, totally driven. They'd never leave. They'd never quit. They would never, ever quit. And they became tremendously successful. And the smarter people, and they were smarter, the smarter people weren't as successful, and in some cases weren't successful at all because they gave up and they quit. So do what you like and love your parents and all that stuff, but say, Mom, Dad, I love you, but this is what I love. This is what I want to do. But listen to them because they also know what they're doing, believe me. But never, ever quit. Go after it, okay? Such a beautiful question. Beautiful guy. Beautiful guy. So, well, should we end this or do a couple of more questions? More? More. All right, well, we'll do a couple of more then. Give that guy in the red hat. I see he's been up there so long, and he looks like my kind of vet, right?
No, I'm actually not a vet. But
okay,
thanks.
Go ahead.
My name's Dennis Wagner. I'm from Littleton, New Hampshire. I want to make a little bit of a statement and then a question.
Ahead.
My concern is the civil decay we have in society today.
Right.
We can see it. It's very prevalent with this Planned Parenthood. And
right.
if you remember, think back one of the probably the biggest cases in the past 10, 20 years was Kermit Gosnell, the beheading of the fetuses in Philadelphia.
Right. It's been a very big subject.
So with that horror and that carnage in mind, and you can see how when a bill is enacted as the Roe versus Wade thing, all of these things tend to decay, and just devolve into this butchery that we see now.
Right.
Will you try to
defund
that and repeal Roe versus Wade?
Yeah, well, the answer is yes, defund. The other, you need a lot of Supreme Court justices, but we're going to be looking at that also very, very carefully. But you need a lot of Supreme Court judges. But defund, yes, we're going to be doing that. Okay? Okay. How about one of these young guys right over there? Go ahead. Good question, by the way. Very good question.
So I'm kind of going to go off of the one that was one before the last, but what's one thing that you can tell young kids or people my age and all the kids to come that the America that you're going to make great, how can we keep it great so that it's great for our kids and the kids like from that?
Well, great. Very good question. So I have children, and Ivanka, everybody knows Ivanka. She's very hardworking, very smart, very good person. She's doing a great job. She just finished up Trump National Doral in Miami, hundreds of acres of land right in the middle of Miami. Now she's very much involved in the old post office, and she has her own business. She sells shoes and dresses, and she's very entrepreneurial. People ask me, what do you do? I'm getting credit, and I hope, I knock on wood, because, all of a sudden, somebody that was good, and who knows what happens. It's very fragile out there. It's very fragile. I've seen people doing really well, young children, and all of a sudden you find out they have a huge drinking problem or a huge drug problem. But one of the things that people ask me, and they ask me a lot, is what do you do about your children? How do you keep your children? Because my children all work hard, and they love it, and they do well at it. And they're asking me a lot and more about my children. And I say, since they were little, since they could barely speak, I'd say no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. And they're this big. They're this big. And I remember Ivanka looks, Dad, you're driving me crazy every time you say that. But I'd say it once a week, twice a week, 3 times. No drugs. She didn't even know what drugs were. She didn't know what alcohol was. Didn't barely know what it, but before they even knew what these things were. And I would just drum it into them. And I see it as so important because I have friends that are very smart and they have brilliant kids. Go to Harvard. One of them I know went to MIT and he had a tremendous problem because he had a drinking problem. And the world is so tough and it's so competitive that you can't put yourself as a child or even as a parent, if you want that child to be successful, at a disadvantage of letting them drink or letting them take drugs, because it's not going to work. They're going to be at a tremendous disadvantage, and ultimately they may never recover. It's so hard to recover from drugs. They say it's even harder to recover from alcohol, which surprises me, actually. But maybe it's a social thing. You're sitting down and everybody's drinking and they're all having a drink for dinner. Maybe that's tougher. But they say alcohol is actually in many ways tougher than stopping with the drugs. But I tell people what's really easy, like I never had a drink. I never had a glass of alcohol. And I in all fairness, I've watched people and I study people, and I had a great tutor on this. But I look and I see what it does to people when they lose control. And a lot of times they lose control. I had a friend who went to the Wharton School of Finance with me, a very smart guy. And I'll never forget when I was young, 18, 19 years old, he hated the taste of scotch, hated it. He couldn't stand it. Oh, this stuff is terrible. But he tried to develop. He said, I want to develop because, he became a massive alcoholic. He developed the taste all right. He became a massive alcoholic. And failed with everything. He lost his family, lost his home. This is a brilliant guy, lost everything because of alcohol. Well, I tell people, with your children, no drugs. And I tell the children, no drugs, no alcohol. And I say, no cigarettes. Cigarettes are just unhealthy. One thing I can tell you, because I don't smoke. I mean, I have some bad habits, but I don't smoke. You don't want to know what they are. Don't ask me. Somebody's going to get up. Please, that would be too many people back there with those cameras. But I say to people, if you don't drink, it's so easy not to want alcohol. If you don't smoke, I watch people smoke. It looks terrible to me. You know, it's dry. It's terrible. But I have friends, they gave up smoking, and they can't do it. And they look at somebody smoking. To them, it's like, oh, boy, I wish I could have that cigarette. You know, just that one more cigarette. Then it turns out to be a disaster. But if you don't drink and if you don't take drugs, your children, meaning your children, are going to have a tremendously enhanced chance of really being successful and having a good life and having a happy life. And one other thing, I'll say this is a little interesting for some people, I hope. I have found, I deal with the richest people in the world. Carl Icahn is supporting me. Carl Icahn's one of the great businessmen of the world, and I'll put him in charge of China. I'll say, Carl, do me a favor, take a look at the trade pacts of China. He'll come back, no way, meaning no way will they get away with it, okay? Believe me, we have the greatest business people in the world, but we don't use them. We use political hacks. It's true, we use guys that give donations. We use donors. They give donations, and we get them into government. I will say this. We have people that if we use our people correctly, and if we get away from this world of horrible, disgusting politics, we will be able to do things that we've never, ever been able to do as a country. I mean, we will be able to do some things that will be absolutely amazing. But anyway, just to finish, no drugs. Do you smoke cigarettes? Do you take drugs? Don't tell me. No? Kid, good-looking kid. Looks like, do you want to be a movie actor? You should be able to stand up. Look how handsome this kid is. Hey, by the way, you're very handsome, too. I have to... He's a handsome... They got a lot of handsome people up here. But you don't take... Do you drink? No. Not good. Wow. Okay, he's going to be successful. Going to be successful. Good question. No drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. All right, we'll do one more. How about one more? You want? Okay, come on. This young man right here, who I met backstage, who's going to take care of his father, right? I'll bet he's going to give me a good question. Go ahead.
What will my life be like when I'm older if you become president?
That might be the best question. I hate to tell you. Okay, so here's what my hope would be. That if I become president, your life will be much better than it would have been if I didn't become president. It's as simple as that. You know? It's as simple as that. And I'll go one step further. If somebody else becomes president and they're not good, they don't do the job, they don't do what they have to do, your life will not be as good. It just won't be as good. So if I become president, I will promise you I'm going to work so hard. I won't care about my company. Somebody says, oh, well, you have a company. I don't care about that. I don't care. It's wonderful. It's great. The kids will run it. The executives, I have good executives, they'll run it. My 100% focus is going to be making the United States of America much better for you than it could be under any other person. Okay? We love you, man. Take care. Take care of your father. Thank you, everybody. This was great, and I appreciate it. And get out and vote. Get out and vote. We got to get out and vote. Last time they didn't vote. We got to get out and vote. We're going to do a real job. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.